We're up to day 11. Halacha Yomi, Baruch Hashem. We're on page 76. Halacha number 10. On a week where one is unable to light 2 candles, one should light at least 1 candle, even though you normally light 2 or more. Okay, so it's not critical. It's good to always light the same amount, but if a person can't light the same amount, at least he should light 1. 11. If one usually lights with oil and does not have enough oil for all of the candles that will be lit to last throughout the Shabbat meal, then you should light less candles and instead use more oil per wick in order that the light should last throughout the Shabbat meal. 19. Shevet the Kahati states that if one has an electric light that will also be lit through the meal, then you can use less oil and light more wicks, even though it will not last throughout the entire meal. Okay, number 12. A woman who is accustomed to lighting a certain amount of candles every Erev Shabbat may not retract her custom without legitimate reason and performing Hadrat Nedarim. So you lit, let's say 7, you always light 5, so you shouldn't go back down to 2 or 1. Therefore, if a woman wants to begin lighting more candles than she's required, she should only state she's only doing it bli neder. Because once she does it a couple times, it becomes like a neder, it becomes like a vow, and you would have to do Hadrat Nedarim in order to be able to do less. If a woman is in a situation that she only has 2 candles, like for example, she's at somebody's house for Shabbat, and she's accustomed to lighting more than 2 candles, she's permitted to light only 2 candles for that week, because she's doing it only on a one-time basis, so no Hadrat Nedarim is necessary. 13. A woman who is married to a man who has a different custom than her regarding the number of candles that one should light must abide by her husband's custom. If she wants to begin lighting more than her husband's customs, then she must ask her husband for permission to do so. 22. This is also the case for 14. A widow woman or a woman should continue lighting the same number of candles as when the deceased spouse was alive. 22. This is also the case for a divorcee. Okay, interesting. 15. The candles or oil should be enough to last until one is finished eating the Shabbat meal on Friday night. So let's say it's a couple hours, so you have to have a couple hours of oil, preferably. 23. This is in Seif Tet in Resh Samech Gimel. Sitorah Ishmael ben Ishai, who states that there's no need to have the candles last throughout the night while one is sleeping, and doing so is considered wasting. So its main thing is for the meal. Okay, 16. The laws of lighting candles when one is going to another house as a guest will be discussed later on. Well, we're going to see later that basically all depends on where you're sleeping. If you're sleeping at home, you have to light with enough oil that should be burning until you come back, and you should benefit from it. But if you're going to be sleeping in the guest's house, in the place where you're staying, then you should be lighting in the private room you have in that house that you're going to staying at, or you could light in next to the dining room, and we won't say a bracha. We're going to see that you're not allowed to make a bracha according to Sfaradim in a place where somebody lit already in the same room. Okay, 17. Just like an Erev Shabbat, it's a mitzvah to light candles on Yom Tov night with a bracha. So you say La'adlik ner shel Yom Tov. 18. When Erev Yom Tov is an Erev Shabbat, once you say the bracha La'adlik ner shel Shabbat ve Yom Tov, if she forgot to add the words ve Yom Tov in the blessing, she does not have to recite another bracha. A woman should preferably not recite Shehayanu when lighting the Yom Tov candles. Instead, she should rely on the blessing that her husband will recite during the Kiddush. So let's see 26 over here. Chazon Avadia adds that if one has the custom recite Shehayanu when lighting candles, you should only do so after at least one of the candles is lit. Furthermore, she may not answer Amen to the Shehayanu her husband will recite during Kiddush, because this will be considered an interruption between a geffen and drinking the wine. However, on the first night of Pesach, Halacha Barura says that she may answer the Shehayanu on Kiddush, even though she already said it by a Hadlakat Nerot. Why? Since the Shehayanu on the first night of Pesach also covers the mitzvot of the Seder, such as Masa and Maror. But on a regular Yom Tov, you should not say the Shehayanu in the candles time. You should hear the Shehayanu from the husband in the Kiddush and answer Amen. See also Or L'Tzion, volume 3, who states that once a woman says Shehayanu, she accepts Yom Tov on herself, and she may no longer perform Melacha or even pray Minha. So usually, if it's not Yom Tov, right, then you could still, after you light the candles, if it's within half hour of sunset, you could still do Melacha after lighting the candles. If it's still not dark yet, still not sunset time. Let's say you lit 20 minutes before sunset, 25 minutes before sunset. So you have 20 minutes to still do melacha. You can still do melacha. You didn't accept Shabbat by lighting the candles. And also, you can even pray mincha. If you didn't pray mincha, you want to pray mincha, you could, still could. But when you say shehyanu on a Yom Tov, then that's it. You already accepted the Yom Tov. If you say shehyanu and the candle time. Okay. 20. Even though one may light a candle from an existing flame on Yom Tov, it is praiseworthy to light the candles while it's still Erev Yom Tov. When Yom Tov is not on a Motzei Shabbat, right? If it's Motzei Shabbat, you can't light early because it's Shabbat. But in a regular day, when it's Erev Yom Tov on a weekday, you should light while it's still Erev Yom Tov, just as one would on an Erev Shabbat. Just like Erev Shabbat, you light before it's Shabbat, so too Yom Tov, you should light before it's Yom Tov, and not delay to light them until it's already Yom Tov. Technically, you can light the candles when it's already Yom Tov, because you'll do Esh LaEsh, you'll do flame to flame. But we do the minhag like we do Erev Shabbat. 27. However, see Halacha Barah, who states that his father Chacham Amar Yosef would light the candles before reciting Kiddush and was not stringent to light them before Yom Tov. Okay, but that's usually what we do. We usually light them before the Yom Tov comes. 21. When Yom Tov Sheni, the second day of Yom Tov, falls out on Shabbat, a person who lives outside of Israel, ben chutz la'aretz, may fulfill his obligation of lighting Shabbat and Yom Tov candles through the lighting of a ben Eretz Israel. If he's staying at his house for Shabbat, even though the ben Eretz Israel will not be including Yom Tov in the bracha upon lighting. So he's lighting for Shabbat, and you're supposed to light candles for Shabbat and Yom Tov. And he's not having you in mind. He's not having in mind for Yom Tov. Still, you fulfill the mitzvah through him if you're part of his household. 22. When Yom Tov is Motzei Shabbat, the candles may not be lit until after Shabbat is over. So you got to check what time that is, and only then you can light the Yom Tov candles. 23. One may remove old wax inside candle holders with a knife on Yom Tov, so that there will be room to place new ones inside. 24. On Yom Tov, one may cut the bottom of a candle to make it fit into the candlestick. Preferably, you should do it by hand. However, when inserting the candle into the candlestick, he may not melt the bottom of the candle with a flame in order to help it stay in place. So that'll be asur, but shortening it, cutting the bottom of it in order to fit, would be permitted. 25. When setting up floating wicks in oil for Lakat Nerot, the wicks should be put into the floaters before Yom Tov. If you didn't do so, you should use wax candles instead. To put the wicks into the floaters on Yom Tov should not be done. If one does not have wax candles, so you can rely on the opinions that permit putting the wick into the floater on Yom Tov. But preferably, if you want to light these candles on Yom Tov, you have to set these up before. So once you buy the pack of the floaters and the wicks, usually they come separate. You should sit there and make all of them in advance. That way, you can fulfill all the opinions and avoid this issue. 33. However, one may not separate the floaters if they are attached to each other Yom Tov. Furthermore, Chutshani and Ashrei Ish point out that even though one may insert the wick into the floater in Yom Tov, many times one still has to remove the middle piece of the floater to allow the wick to be inserted. Sometimes there's like a little cutout in the middle. You have to push out that piece in order to fit the floater inside. So that is also an issue on Yom Tov. In such an instance, one may not insert the wick, because by doing so, you're completing the floater, mitaken mana, by creating the hole in the center, which is also considered tearing. So therefore, one should prepare the floaters in advance before Yom Tov in order to avoid all these issues. 26. There's a mitzvah to light candles at Erev Yom Kippur, just like you do on Shabbat. The blessing over there is La'adlik ner shel Yom HaKippurim. Okay. The Sephardic custom is to light candles only after reciting the bracha. Okay, so you see that we're going to talk about this soon. Also, that all, according to Shulchan Aruch, you're supposed to do all the blessings before the mitzvah. So you have to say the bracha and then light the candles. The prevailing minhag Ashkenaz is to first light the candles, then cover your eyes and say the bracha. But that we're going to explain later is because of a opinion of the Bahag, who says that you accept Shabbat once you say the blessing. So therefore they light the candles during the melacha, and then they say the bracha to avoid this issue. But according to Shulchan Aruch, lighting the candles and saying the bracha does not make you accept Shabbat. So therefore you could say the bracha first and then light the candles afterwards. Okay, fine. 27. If Yom Kippur is on Shabbat, the proper bracha for the candle lighting is La'adlik ner shel Shabbat v'Yom Kippurim. If someone omitted the word Yom Shabbat or Yom Kippurim, the word Shabbat, Yom Kippurim, she nevertheless fulfilled the mitzvah. Brachot einam ma'akvot. The blessing does not cancel the mitzvah, even though you messed up the bracha. the mitzvah still counts. You don't have to light again. Let's finish this one. 28. When lighting the candles, one should not recite Shehayanu. If one did, then you won't be able to do any melacha. You accepted Yom Kippur already. Therefore, it's better to hear Shehayanu from Hazan in the shul. But if a woman wants to say Shehayanu for herself, or she cannot go to shul, so then she should say Shehayanu after she's wearing leather shoes and lighting the candles. So therefore, you switch your shoes, light the candles, say the bracha, light the candles, and then after that you could say Shehayanu. The lady could do it because there's no kiddush. On Yom Kippur there's no kiddush, so she should say it after the candles. But on Yom Tov, you should wait till the kiddush and hear it from the husband. Chazak Baruch, everybody. See you tomorrow. Baruch Na'olam. Amen. Amen.